This is an attempted documentation of a very niche number of people that may end up watching this video. I am a 40-year-old English teacher, head of department at a secondary school, and on the 7th of August last month, I had a seizure out of the blue, and the long and the short of it is that I found out that I've got a tumour in my left temporal lobe. So I wanted to document this process a little bit, partly for my own sake, trying to order my own thoughts, but also I know there'll be other people in similar situations, or people with families in similar situations who might find some comfort, or in some way some information, or find things that chime with them from the things that I say. So that's what this is an attempt to do. I'm going to try and keep this relatively short, even though there's lots of information. What I'd like to do is sort of document it with a few different videos, and if you wanted to get in touch in some way or another, I'll perhaps leave some contact details if you wanted to contact me for anything. So I've written some notes. I'm not used to doing videos. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, so apologies in advance for that. But so on the 7th of August, I had a seizure at home just before I was about to leave the house to go to jiu-jitsu, and this was completely out of the blue. I was taken to Coventry Walsgrave Hospital, and they did an MRI scan, and they found, like I say, like a mass. They call it a mass in my left temporal lobe. I stayed in the hospital for a few days. I had some further scans. I'm simplifying these things down, but they did some further scans, and I've been put on a bit of a fast track here because of where this thing is, and because of the nature of the look of this thing. That they're quite keen to get to work on me quite quickly. So I'm really fortunate, first of all, that I went to. I live so close to Coventry Walsgrave Hospital, who have an incredible neuro team, people there. For now, I was in there for a short time. They've given me some anti-seizure medication, and I was put on some steroids as well to help reduce swelling in that part of my brain. I've been back a number of times. I deal with two incredible consultants. There's a brilliant team, a wider team of people around them. But Mr. Mukherjee and Mr. Solanki, who are both a little bit older than me, they're perhaps in their early 40s, and they've got similar families. Mr. Solanki's got two children, a boy and a girl. I think about 11 and 9. Mr. Mukherjee has got 3 children, a girl and then two twins who are a bit younger, and they've been really attentive, very proactive, doing a huge amount of work, along with an incredible team there, anaesthetists, the oncologists. They've been really good, and I can have no complaints at all about them. As it stands now, I had a couple of days ago, after scaling back on the steroids, after coming off the steroids, after being off them about 3 days, I started having a strange side effects. But first of all, it's worth saying, after having the initial to go back to earlier in August when I was in the hospital, I was having I wasn't making a huge amount of sense, and that's because of where the tumour is, and partly because I'm right-handed, oddly. It impacts my ability to communicate and to understand language. So I was being asked questions and I was responding with what I felt like was the correct answer, but the answers were sort of gobbledygook, weren't making a lot of sense. and I was having a strain. That's not anesthesia, anaphasia, which is finding the wrong word. And then I was having a strange, like auditory phenomenon where I was hearing music in ambient sounds, which lasted for a short while, then would go away, and then every maybe once every couple of days, I would have a strange phenomenon where suddenly this music would get very, very loud in my head, and I felt like a sense of a bit of overwhelming in my brain, and a sense of almost unreality, which is very hard to explain. And I'd have to almost like just grit it for about 20 seconds. I know that would pass. And then a couple of days ago, after coming off of the steroids, it felt like I had a day of this. And then I started not making a lot of sense when I was speaking with my family. So my partner, who's just been incredible, she spoke to the hospital, spoke to the oncology department. They changed my medication slightly, put me back onto the steroids. And within a couple of hours of taking these steroids and then increasing my levetiracetam, I think it's called, it's anti-seizure medication, increasing that, having changed that after a couple of hours, it became a little bit more normal. So that was yesterday, or was it the day before? I can't remember. But that becomes, no, it was the day before yesterday. But I've, touch wood, it feels like I've gone back to some degree of sort of normality. Relatively speaking, I'm sort of okay now. I can communicate just fine. I've also I've had a number of different scans, had some updated MRI scans, but they've managed to get me on a fancy scan called it's called an fMRI, which is a what's it called, functional MRI scan, which basically it's like an MRI scan, but they'd also asked me questions along the way that I had to answer in my head. So they were to do with words, and then I had to do some. So it would be sentences with gaps, and I would have to fill in the gap in my head, or it would come up with a letter, and I'd have to come up with words beginning with that letter. And what the idea is that ignites part of my brain. It sets those bits of brain, lights them up, and it shows up on the scans. And then there's some physical things where I had to kind of purse my lips and then smile. Not properly smile, just purse my lips. Don't do this. Looking like a really strange person in the MRI scan for a while. Start doing that, and then I had to rub my tongue from across the back of my teeth. So doing some physical thing, which again was igniting something in my brain, which they took. They're able to do those things, take pictures of those things. The idea is that with all of those scans, what the consultants are doing is they're preparing for an awake craniotomy. So because of where this tumour is, it's in a very eloquent part of the brain, which means there's lots of very active bits. And the idea is that if he can keep me awake and question me throughout, because he needs to be able to see that I'm responding appropriately, and the idea is that they can remove as much of the tumour as possible. Technically it's called a debulking, to remove as much of this tumour as possible. And the idea is he wants to get as close to this, technically speaking, this eloquent part of the brain, to remove as much of that as possible. And he can do that whilst I'm awake, is keep me awake as much as possible during that. And the idea is that I would then be put on there'll be subsequent treatment afterwards that will probably include radiotherapy and chemotherapy to try and just hold back this tumour in the brain. I'm under no illusions as to what this is. They made it quite plain that it's quite an aggressive tumour. It's called a glioblastoma, and it looks like this with high degree of probability. We won't know until exactly what it is until they've sent off the biopsy after the operation. So fingers crossed they can do as good a job as possible on the operation, and then the treatment afterwards we'll take things from there. This was maybe a lot more eloquent than I'm putting across here. I don't know who this is kind of sort of helping. There's lots of things that I wanted to otherwise say, but I don't want to have a real long, drawn out video, that no one's going to sit through. But I definitely know that people are going through something similar, or they've found that they've got this, they've got their own sort of brain tumour, and they're going through the same thing. I know I'm not the only person that's going through this. So you might find something in this. I'm going to sort of separate some of the videos out actually, rather than having lots of them. This is the first sort of introduction for now, just so you know what's going on right now. And like I say, I'm trying to make myself contactable. I don't want to be given too much information. All I'm trying to do is to deal with what I've got in front of me. So right now is trying to prepare me and my family for what's coming. I don't want to look too far down the line for something that I don't have any control over. I'd like to otherwise discuss other things that are going on with this, other avenues that I reached out to, other avenues that I've researched, and I've been sent things by friends and family and things, just to share those with anybody, because you might find those useful. And also I'd like to share I'd like to share my own I suppose my reaction to finding out this kind of information. Is strange. It's strange how it affects people, but I feel like it might be useful to somebody else for how I've responded to finding out something like this, and how my family have otherwise responded to this. So I'll upload this. I'll split it down into other parts, and I'll try and label them as clearly as possible. I don't know how clear any of this was, but yeah, I'll follow with another video. Okay, all right. This first video done. Maybe this is as bad as they get. Maybe they become a little bit more lucid after this. I promise. This is as lucid as I get. This is not me impacted by this brain tumour that's in my head, and yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for listening this far. Thank you.